Win-win performance agreement. Creating win-win performance agreement requires vital paradigm shift. The focus is on results, not methods. Most of us tend to supervise methods. We use the Cooper delegation discussed in Habit 3. The method management one used with Sandra when I asked her to take a picture of our son as he was water skiing. But winning agreements focus on results, releasing tremendous individual human potential and creating greater synergy, building PC in the process instead of focusing exclusively on P. With winning accountability, people evaluate themselves. The traditional evaluation games people play are awkward and emotionally exhausting. In win-win, people evaluate themselves using the criteria that they themselves helped to create upfront. And if you set it up correctly, people can do that. With a win-win delegation agreement, even a 7-year-old boy can tell for himself how well he is keeping the yard green and clean. My best experiences in teaching university classes have come when I have created a win-win shared understanding of the goal up front. This is what we are trying to accomplish. Here are the basic requirements for an A, B, or C grade. My goal is to have every one of you get an A. Now you take what we've talked about and analyze it and come up with your own understanding of what you want to accomplish that is unique to you. Then let's get together and agree on the grade you want and what you plan to do to get it. Management philosopher and consultant Peter Drucker recommends the use of manager's letter to capture the essence of performance agreements between managers and their employees. Following a deep and thorough discussion of expectations, guidelines, and resources to make sure they are in harmony with organizational goals, the employee writes a letter to the manager that summarizes the discussion and indicates when the next performance plan or review discussion will take place. Developing such a winning agreement is the central activity of management. With an agreement in place, employees can manage themselves within the framework of that agreement. The manager then can serve like a pace car in a race. He can get things going and then get out of the way. His job from then on is to remove the oil spills. When a boss becomes the first assistant to each of his subordinates, he can greatly increase his span of control. Entire levels of administrations and overhead are eliminated. Instead of supervising 6 or 8, such a manager can supervise 20, 30, 50, or more. In union agreements, consequences become the natural or logical result of performance rather than a reward or punishment arbitrarily handed out by the person in charge. There are basically four kinds of consequences, rewards and penalties, that management or parents can control: financial, psychic, opportunity, and responsibility. Financial consequences include such things as income, stock options, allowances, or penalties. Psychic or psychological consequences include recognition, approval, respect, credibility, or the loss of them. Unless people are in a survival mode, psychic compensation is often more motivating than financial compensation. Opportunity includes training, development, perks, and other benefits. Responsibility has to do with the scope and authority, either of which can be enlarged or diminished. Winning agreements specify consequences in one or more of those areas, and the people involved know it up front. So you don't play games. Everything is clear from the beginning. In addition to these logical personal consequences, it is also important to clearly identify what the natural organizational consequences are. For example, what will happen if I'm late to work, if I refuse to cooperate with others, if I don't develop good winning agreements with many subordinates, if I don't hold them accountable for desired results, or if I don't promote their professional growth and career development. When my daughter turned 16, we set up a winning agreement regarding use of the family car. We agreed that she would obey the laws of the land and that she would keep the car clean and properly maintained. We agreed that she would use the car only for responsible purposes and would serve as a cab driver for her mother and me within reason. And we also agreed that she would do all her other jobs cheerfully without being reminded. These were our wins. We also agreed that I would provide some resources, the car, gas, and insurance. And we agreed that she would meet weekly with me, usually on Sunday afternoon, to evaluate how she was doing based on our agreement. The consequences were clear. As long as she kept her part of the agreement, she couldn't use the car. If she didn't keep it, she would lose the privilege until she decided to. This win-win agreement set up clear expectation from the beginning on both our parts. It was a win for her. She got to use the car, and it was certainly a win for Sandra and me. Now she could handle her own transportation needs and even some of ours. We didn't have to worry about maintaining the car or keeping it clean, and we had a built-in accountability, which meant I didn't have to hover over her to manage her methods, her integrity, her conscience, her power of discernment, and our high emotional bank account managed her infinitely better. We didn't have to get emotionally strung out trying to supervise her every move and coming up with a punishment or rewards on the spot if she didn't do things the way we thought she should. We had a win-win agreement and it liberated us all. Win-win agreements are tremendously liberating, but as the product of isolated techniques, they won't hold up. Even if you set them up in the beginning, there is no way to maintain them without personal integrity and relationship of trust. A true win-win agreement is the product of the paradigm, the character, and the relationship out of which it grows. In this context, it defines and elects the interdependent interaction of which it was created. Winning can only survive in an organization when the system supports it. If you talk winning but reward win-lose, you've got a losing program on your hands. You basically get what you reward. If you want to achieve the goals and reflect the values in your mission statement, then you need to align the reward system with these goals and values. If it isn't aligned systematically, you won't be walking your talk. You'll be in the situation of the manager I mentioned earlier who talked cooperation but practiced competition by creating a race to Bermuda contest. I worked for several years with a very large real estate organization in the Middle West. My first experience with this organization was at a large sales rally where over 800 sales associates gathered for the annual reward program. It was a psych-up cheerleading session, complete with high school band and a great deal of frenzied screaming. Out of the 800 people there, around 40 received awards for top performance, such as most sales, greatest volume, highest earned commission, and most listings. There was a lot of hoopla, excitement, cheering, applause around the presentation of these awards. There, there was no doubt that those 40 people had won. But there was also the underlying awareness that 760 people had lost. We immediately began educational and organizational development work to align the system and structures of the organization toward the win-win paradigm. We involved people at a grassroots level to develop the kinds of systems that would motivate them. We also encouraged them to cooperate and synergize with each other so that as many as possible could achieve the desired result of their individually tailored performance agreement. At the next rally, 1 year later, there were over 1,000 sales associates present, and about 800 of them received awards. There were a few individual winners based on comparisons, but the program primarily focused on people achieving self-selected performance objectives and on group achieving team objectives. There was no need to bring in the high school band to artificially contrive the fanfare, the cheerleading, and the psych-up. There was tremendous natural interest and excitement because people could share in each other's happiness, and teams of the sales associates could experience rewards together, including a vacation trip for the entire office. The remarkable thing was that almost all of the 800 who received awards that year had produced as much person in terms of volume and profits as the previous years. 40. The spirit of winning had significantly increased the number of golden eggs and had fed the goose as well, releasing enormous human energy and talent. The resulting synergy was astounding to almost everyone involved. Competition had its place in the marketplace or against last year's performance, perhaps even against another office or individual where there is no particular interdependence, no need to cooperate, but cooperation in the workplace is as important to free enterprise as competition in the marketplace. The spirit of winning cannot survive in an environment of competition and contest. For winning to work, the systems have to support it. The training system, the planning system, the communication system, and the budgeting system, the information system, and the compensation system all have to be based on the principle of win-win. I did some consulting for another company that wanted training for their people in human relations. The underlying assumption was that the problem was the people. The president said, "Go into any store you want and see how they treat you. They are just order takers. They don't understand how to get close to the customers. They don't know the product and they don't have the knowledge and the skill in the sales process necessary to create a marriage between the product and the need." So I went to the various stores and he was right, but that still didn't answer the question in my mind. What caused the attitude? Look, we are on top of the problem, the president said. We have department heads out there setting a great example. We've told them their job is just two-thirds selling and one-third management, and they are outselling everybody. We just want you to provide some training for the sales people. Those words raised a red flag. Let's get some more data, I said. He didn't like that. He knew what the problem was, and he wanted to get on with the training, but I persisted, and within 2 days, we uncovered the real problem. Because of the job definition and the compensation system, the managers were screaming. They'd stand behind the cash register and clean all the business during the slow time. Half the time in retail is slow and the other half is frantic. So the manager would give all the dirty jobs, inventory control, store work, and cleaning, to the salespeople, and they would stand behind the registers and clean. That's why the department heads were hot in sales. So we changed one system, the compensation system, and the problem was corrected overnight. We set up a system whereby the managers only made money when their salespeople made money. We overlapped the needs and goals of the managers with the needs and goals of the salespeople, and the need for human relations training suddenly disappeared. The key was developing a true win-win reward system. In another instance, I worked with a manager in a company that required formal performance evaluation. He was frustrated over the evaluation rating he had given a particular manager. He deserved a 3, he said, but I had to give him a 1, which meant superior, promotable. What did you give him a 1 for? I asked. He gauged the numbers, was his reply. So why do you think he deserves a 3? It's the way he gets them. He neglects people, he reigns over them, he's a troublemaker. It sounds like he's totally focused on production, and that's what he's being rewarded for. But what would happen if you talked with him about the problem, if you help him understand the importance of PC? He said he had done so with no effect. Then what if you set up a union contract with him where you both agreed that 2/3 of his compensation would come from P from numbers and the other 1/3 would come from PC? How other people perceive him? What kind of a leader, people builder, team builder he is? Now that would get his attention, he replied. So often, the problem is in the system, not in the people. If you put good people in bad systems, you get bad results. You have to water the flowers you want to grow. As people really learn to think win-win, they can set up the systems to create and reinforce it. They can transform a necessarily competitive situation to cooperate to cooperative ones and can powerfully impact their effectiveness by building both PC. In business, executives can align their system to create teams of highly productive people working together to compete against external standards of performance. In education, teachers can set up grading systems based on individuals' performance in the context of agreed-upon criteria and can encourage students to cooperate in productive ways to help each other learn and achieve. In families, parents can shift the focus from competition with each other to cooperation. In activity, such as bowling, for example, they can keep a family score and try to beat a previous one. They can set up home responsibility with win-win agreements that eliminate constant nagging and enable parents to do the thing only they can do. A friend once shared with me a cartoon he seen of the two children talking to each other. If mommy doesn't get us up soon, one was saying, we are going to be late for school. This was brought forcibly to his attention the nature of the problem created when families are not organized on a responsible win-win basis. Win-win puts the responsibility on the individual for accomplishing specified results within clear guidelines and available resources. It makes a person accountable to perform and evaluate the results and provide consequences as a natural result of performance, and winning systems create the environment which supports and reinforces the winning agreement.